Hello, my name is Yvonne Cleary and I teach technical communication and instructional design in the School of English, Irish and Communication at the University of Limerick. In this presentation, I'll tell you about a recent assignment where students on a postgraduate module on the MA in Technical Communication and e-learning used the wiki in Sulis, UL's virtual learning environment, where they were collaborating on a writing project. I created this assignment because it's quite common for technical communicators in the workplace to develop content on a wiki. And a common writing paradigm in technical communication workplaces is topic-based writing, where writers produce short-form modular content. Although they write individual topics, they perform several collaborative activities like reviewing one another's work and publishing a collaborative output, often on a wiki. To replicate this activity, postgraduate students on a technical communication module used the wiki tool in Sulis to create individual topics that contributed to a group wiki. They collaborated using the Sulis discussion forum. So in this presentation, I'll cover these topics. I'll outline some research about collaborative writing, its benefits, the competencies that writers develop as a result of collaborating, and some challenges associated with it. I'll also briefly describe the affordances and limitations of a wiki. So what are we able to do with them, but also in what ways are they restrictive? I'll briefly describe the objectives of the assignment that our students undertook using the Sulis wiki. I'll then show you the wiki and explain first how to create a wiki page, and then show you the wiki that our students developed, which is a body of knowledge about the module. I'll conclude with some insights into student collaboration and engagement, and I'll suggest some recommendations if you're thinking about incorporating a wiki assignment into one of your modules. So what is collaborative writing and why is it worthwhile? According to Lowry et al., it is an iterative and social process that involves a team, and that team has a common objective. They're negotiating, coordinating, and communicating while they create a common document. Lowry et al. Do recognise that definitions of collaborative writing are contested, sometimes even contradictory, and definitions don't always acknowledge the interdisciplinary character of collaborative writing. Even the term itself is contested, and that may be because although collaborative writing is a group effort, activities can be divided and conducted by individuals, and that was the case in the assignment that I'll tell you about. Collaborative writing has a lot of benefits for students. It can encourage engagement and improve their writing competency because they're seeing the work of other students, and that helps them to recognise their own maybe persistent writing challenges. And it also enables them to develop analytical and critical thinking skills. In second language learning, collaborative writing assignments are widely used, and a lot of the literature examines the benefits for second language acquisition. These are some of the competencies that collaborative writing can both require and help writers to develop. So writers have to firstly select tools to collaborate. A wiki is one example, but other tools could be used, including, for example, a collaborative document like a Google Doc. Writers also have to use these tools to draft and share their work, and through sharing their work and reviewing other writers' work, they recognise their own writing challenges, and that leads them to the process of revision. Reviewing is an important collaborative writing task, though it wasn't a requirement in the assignment that I'll tell you about. And where writers review one another's work, they also have to give and receive feedback. And in that case, both the giver and the recipient of feedback need to develop the competence of depersonalising feedback, or in other words, recognising that the feedback should be about the work and not the writer. Collaborative writing also requires, of course, various types of collaboration skills and analytical skills. It ultimately results in published output whereupon writers can reflect on the process of collaboration. It has nevertheless some challenges, of course, And many of those challenges are associated with working in groups, so you will be familiar with them. Challenges identified in the literature include defining the task and then splitting the task among individuals, monitoring then how people are progressing, but also learning to trust collaborators. Another challenge is accepting that people's levels of participation in groups are not always even. Conflicting ideologies and power dynamics can be a problem. A technology selection may need to be negotiated, and sometimes there are specific challenges that are associated with the organisational culture. In addition to these problems that are common to working in groups, there are also some problems or challenges that are specific to writing, the writing component of collaborative writing. And these include inconsistencies among writers or even for an individual writer, the potential for a duplication of effort. There may be creative conflicts. There are also often issues with version control, though a wiki or a similar tool can really help to resolve that problem. And finally, ensuring that writers use the technologies effectively to write is another challenge. So because of these multiple challenges, many students are reluctant to engage in group writing activities. And at postgraduate level, students often resist group work entirely because of its potential negative impact on their grades. In such cases, a wiki can be an excellent compromise because it enables individuals to collaborate while also recognising their individual contributions. Wikis are a relatively uncomplicated way to develop a body of content collaboratively, and they are freely available, including through VLEs. That body of content can be made available to the public, and the best known example of a public wiki is, of course, Wikipedia. You can see a screenshot of Wikipedia here, and it's one that we're all familiar with. The Sulis wiki is somewhat more limited than Wikipedia, but it does enable that kind of collaborative body of content to be created from individual contributions. You can add it to a module site in Sulis using the Site Info Manage Tools feature. And although I'm focusing on the Sulis VLE wiki, you'll find that most VLEs include a wiki tool of some sort. In the Sulis wiki, members of the site can edit the wiki, they can add pages, they can add content like text, images, tables, and so on. And they can revise that content and publish the output so that it's available publicly. Although it has a lot of affordances, as are common with other wikis, the Sulis wiki does have some limitations that I'll briefly mention here. Firstly, the formatting options are quite limited. In addition, if you want to apply formatting to the wiki page, you need to use some basic markup, which may be off-putting for some students. I'll zoom in on these screenshots to show you the first one, which is the markup screen or the edit screen, and you may be able to see the markup there. And the second one is the output, and that's what viewers see when they review the wiki. Another limitation of the Sulis wiki is that some procedures, like embedding links and adding images, are more complicated than they seem to be, and that's something that I learned along with the students as we progressed through this assignment. Another issue is that the preview is not always the same as the public view, so it's important to test the wiki in the public view as well as in the preview. These are just some of the limitations. So for the assignment in the technical communication module, students had to write a short topic about an aspect of the module that they were studying that would be available for future technical communication students. So they had a specific target audience to write for. They also had a specific style guide. We use Mark Baker's book, Every Page is Page 1, which contains a 7-component model for writing standalone topics, for topic-based writing. And finally, students had to publish their output in the Sulis wiki and also submit a PDF version of their individual contribution to the assignments folder. They had to, throughout the process, use the Sulis discussion forum to collaborate, to ask and answer questions, to share tips, and to share resources. So I'm going to briefly show you the wiki now. This is what the wiki looks like in the Sulis module site, and to edit a page you simply click on the Edit tab from the list of tabs at the top of the window. I'm going to add a page. This is what all students had to do to insert their topic. And to add a page in the edit mode, you simply type your page title within square brackets. I'm going to call this one New Page and click on Save to save it. In your preview mode then, you can see your new page has been added. There's a link to it, and when you click on it, you have a default page which you can then edit with your own work. So this is what our students had to do. I'll quickly show you the body of knowledge that our students developed. They developed multiple topics. Each student developed one in 4 categories: module concepts, technology guides, practical guides, and resource repositories. The topics have several requirements, so students had to include a title, a short description, main headings, and then they could include references if required. They could include images if appropriate. So we can see on this topic that the student has included images, direct quotes, and references at the end for the various items that were cited. They've also applied some formatting to the wiki. So that's an example of one topic from the many that the students developed. You can navigate the wiki through a breadcrumb trail at the top of the window. That's a very brief overview. Next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how our students collaborated and engaged through this assignment. They used the discussion forum to share concerns and tips. I found that at the start of the assignment, they tended to address me in their posts to the discussion forum, and they also tended to have more questions than any other kinds of contributions. But gradually, as they developed confidence, they began to share tips, resources, and workarounds that they had come across, and they began to address one another when they were finding things challenging or didn't know how to progress. So instead of seeing me as the expert, they recognized one another as sources of expertise. They also encouraged and complimented one another when they were able to help each other. I'm paraphrasing here with these quotes. They said things like, "That's a clever suggestion. I wouldn't have thought of that." And they also offered each other reassurance. For example, again paraphrasing, when one of them encountered a problem, they noted, "I just wanted you to be aware of this so that you wouldn't panic like I did." One problem with sharing images publicly emerged just a couple of days before submission. It was a bug that I wasn't aware of, but the student who identified the issue also found and shared the solution to the problem, and their classmates very much appreciated that. They said things like, "Nice detective work, that worked for me, thank you so much," and so on. And I saw this as indicative of a level of trust that developed, where students were happy to share information instead of hoarding solutions that they found. I believe because they recognised that this was part of the process. If you're considering using a wiki in a similar assignment, it's worth noting some points. One is that wikis do have some limitations, and it's important to identify these and to notify the students of the limitations so that you can manage their expectations. For example, in this case, some students developed elaborate formatting using Microsoft Word, and then they discovered that it wasn't going to transfer across to the wiki. So they wasted some time unnecessarily. Wikis have a lot of benefits that can be exploited in assignments, and the fact that there's both an individual and a collaborative component works very well. Incorporating a discussion forum collaboration into this type of assignment helps students to build their confidence, their trust in one another, and to recognise the benefits of collaboration. I also found that this assignment helped students to learn from their peers because they all had access to one another's topics and could see each other's contributions. They also began to see their contributions as part of a larger body of work. And I think that the body of work that they developed is very worthwhile. So I hope you have found this a useful overview of this particular assignment and of the potential for wikis to be used in collaborative writing assignments. These are the references I cited during the presentation, and there's also a link here to the wiki that our students developed. Thank you very much for listening, and if you'd like to contact me, my contact details are on this slide.